I'm Jordan Perry. I play the drums in Derelict. When I first started out, I was listening to tons of Nirvana records and The Offspring and stuff like that, and I didn't even have a drum kit at the time, I think. And it was Dave Grohl mostly that he was my idol. That's why I wanted to be a drummer. I wanted to be Dave Grohl. And before I even had a drum kit, I was beating on pillow. I had a pillow that I was beating on, and like a lamp that I would use for the cymbals, and I was just play the records, crank Nirvana records, Offspring, Hole, Smashing Pumpkins. I'd crank that stuff up and just beat away. And and that's when I decided, I was like, my mom, dad, like I want to be a drummer, get me a drum kit, and I'm sure they were like, oh, great, this is going to be really loud and awful for them, but they were super supportive in that way. They rented me my first drum kit, and I played it all the time, just bashing away, and then finally they bought me my first drum kit. It was it was an old beater kit. I think my parents bought me for about $300 with everything included, all the cymbals, everything. It was beat up, it sounded horrible. I didn't know how to, tune skins or anything when I was starting out, so it was just, it was a beater kit. I taught myself mostly everything I knew until, I guess it was about 9 years that I was playing. Just teaching myself how to do different stuff just by learning, listening to other people and picking it up. And after about 9 years, I kind of hit a brick wall, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Like this, I can't get past this certain spot. There's nothing left. So I decided that I should get some lessons, and I knew a dude named Mike Mirza. He's still teaching in Saskatoon. I knew him through the music scene, and so I approached him about giving me some lessons. I signed up, and he taught me a lot. That was kind of really a turning point in my drumming career. It went from just teaching myself, bashing away, to like more of a refined approach to actually learning what you're doing and how you're doing it. I was playing with little 7A tiny toothpick sticks because I thought I could go faster with them, which I guess I could, but I was working way harder because the smaller stick you have to use that much more force to actually get any power out of it at all. So you're actually working way harder when you're using these tiny little sticks, even though it feels like you're going faster, right? So the first thing he did was he was like, I've seen you play, I've seen your band, there's no reason that you should be using these tiny sticks, and I was breaking them all the time. He's like, throw these in the garbage. You need at least a 5 beat. I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right, I'm getting way more power out of this. It's sounding better. I haven't even done anything yet, but things are just sounding better already. So that was great. After that, he taught me, tons of the basics I missed out on when I was teaching myself. When you're teaching yourself, you're not, and you have a full drum kit. Most people, I think, at least coming up in the grunge age, no one was sitting down on a practice pad or a snare drum and just doing paradiddles and rudiments and stuff like that. You have a full kit in front of you, you're gonna go crazy. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to sit there, and that's not what drumming was to me at the time. He really taught me to focus on the basics, because that's what makes you a good drummer. That you need to know these key little things and the practice of the rudiments and all that stuff that's going to make you develop your technique. We also went over a lot of Latin rhythms, which was really good for limb separation, independence. The first band I was ever in was, we didn't even have a name, it was just a cover band. I think we only knew 3 or 4 songs, some collective soul jams and stuff like that. After that, I got involved with a good friend of mine, Chad Munson, and we worked together on some 4-track recordings and stuff like that, and that eventually turned into a full-on kind of, a psychedelic rock band. It was originally called Watercolor Movement, and we renamed it to Blood Music. This is more I got to experiment with my own style, writing my own drum parts, how that works with with other musicians and that sort of stuff. And at the same time, I was in another band called Linus Hemingway, which is more of an electronic kind of pop band. So that got me experimenting with all kinds of different styles, as far as from like a psychedelic rock thing to more of a pop structure, as well as Linus Hemingway. We would use like sampled backing tracks and stuff like that. So it helped me work on my meter, so actually playing along with a click track. And then I also play keyboards for a band called Mahogany Frog, which is like kind of a instrumental prog band. And they're still together actually. And I played a couple of shows with them and recorded one album, and it was cool to like work on the keyboards as well and play to a drummer instead of being the drummer. Shortly after that, I moved to Montreal, and that's when I met up with Derelict and we started jamming. Originally, before I even joined Derelict, they were called Foreshadow. That was like the original name, and I didn't know the guys personally. I actually met Eric through an ex-girlfriend of mine.
This next one is called Expiring. Show some fucking horns, bang your fucking heads, this is a metal party.
I was looking for a band, when my ex-girlfriend said, I know this guy, he's in a metal band and they're looking for a drummer. I was like, well, shit, never played metal before, but why not, right? Let's check it out. I was listening to some metal at the time, but I didn't know a ton about it. I knew I was gonna have to work on my speed. I knew that for sure. So I met up with Eric. We went over to the jam space. They seemed to like it right off the bat. And then they had me in for a couple more like re-auditions. I think I had about 3 of them, and then after that they were like, yeah, like we like you. What do you think? And I was like, I really like these songs. Like these are really cool songs. I'm game if you guys are. And they're like, yeah, absolutely. Let's play together. Derelict's been around for like 6 or almost 7 years now, I guess. So we've seen a lot of member changes. Eric and I are only the real 2 like original members. Max has been in the band for several years now, but it's he joined later. So we got 2 new guys, Simon and Xavier, on guitar and bass, and so far they're really fitting in with our dynamic. This is actually like the most cohesive the band has ever been. Eric, Max, and I have been writing as a collective, which is kind of the first time this new album, Perpetuation, that we're launching in a couple of months. It marks like a turning point writing-wise for us that has been great. Before it was just like, someone would write a song, they'd bring it to the band, okay, that's the song, great, that's how it goes, we're playing it. Now it's like someone brings a song and we all kind of listen to it, workshop it, put in our own different ideas, and then we come out with this product that is not a Max song, not an Eric song, not a Jordan song. It's a Derelict song, and we all had our hands in that. And I see, for the future, I see Simon and Xavier getting themselves involved with that as well, because they're really chill dudes, and we're really getting along, and they have a lot of input so far. A couple of years ago, a friend of mine showed me a drummer named Benny Greb, and this guy has been a huge influence on me over the past couple of years. He has a really unique style. He has an incredible touch to the drums that really opened my eyes to a lot of possibilities. And I had been pretty focused in metal for a long time, because I had like a lot of other influences growing up and learning the drums, and then I joined Derelict and I really had to get up to speed with metal because I didn't have a base in it. So I started submerging myself in metal, really learning on how to take on that genre, that style of playing. And I kind of got lost in it a little bit, and I found I needed to get back to the other influences that I had originally. And I think learning about Benny Greb and listening to his playing really marked a turning point in my drumming, where it was like, okay, metal, still metal, but now I have this other aspect to it that I think helps diversify my playing a little bit better. The song that I recorded earlier was Olympic, it's called, and that is the first and so far only song that I've written completely myself for Derelict. So all the guitars and all the riffs were composed and arranged by me. which was I have a little different approach when it comes to writing metal or anything really, because I don't play guitar. So the entire song was actually written on a keyboard and some software that I used to arrange everything, which was really fun for me. But when I brought it to the guys, they looked at it and we tabbed it out together, and they just looked at it and they're like, I have no idea how I'm going to play this. Because like stuff that's really easy on a keyboard is just complete hell on a guitar. It just makes no sense. And I wasn't even thinking of that when I was writing it. I didn't take into consideration the tuning of a guitar, or what strings they might have to skip while they're playing it. I'm just playing it on the keyboard, right? So that was pretty entertaining for me, because it's always been the other way around in Derelict. The guys they'll bring me something, and they'll say, here's a song. It's at 252 BPM, and we're gonna need a blast beat there. And I was, great, I'll do it, and I always did it, and I've never said no to something that they came up with. So when they, when they were like, well, how are we gonna do this? And like, hey, listen, guys, you've brought me all kinds of shit for the last 6 years, and I've always said yes. So you guys are gonna do this one, and they accepted, and I think they really like it now. The very beginnings of the song Olympic was actually a drum beat that I'd written, and it's the whole middle section where Max has like a tapping lead. I was just in our practice space one day, and I was coming up with different things, and I came up with that polyrhythmic groove for the middle section. I came up with that, and I brought that beat to the guys, and I was like, guys, I really like what I've come up with here. Do you think you can write a riff to it? And we messed around with a couple of different things. I think Max and Eric both came up with different things, and none of us were really satisfied with what it was. It wasn't quite working with it. So I think Eric said, well, you write music, like why don't you go and write something? I was like, yeah, I guess I'd never written metal before, but sure, I'll try it. So I came up with that whole middle melodic section of Olympic, and then I just kind of wrote outwards, because I knew that section was gonna happen. I was really happy with the way that turned out, and then I needed the beginning and I needed an end, because I knew that part I wanted it to be this like epic kind of middle section, and that's how the song happened. Will I be playing metal forever? I think that I'll be playing drums forever. I think it would be really hard for me to limit myself to one style if I had to, while I'm doing it. But I think that metal's always been a big part of what I do, or at least since I joined Derelict. So I think metal will be a big part of what I do in the future. But I think that I'd like to play a lot of different styles, and I'm definitely going to keep doing all of that.